In this video, I'm going to walk you through what channel marketing is, some examples, some benefits, and then a 9-step process to help you implement an effective one within your own business. So first things first, what is channel marketing? Basically, channel marketing is just how vendors will help sell their products through their distributors and retailers. One common example of channel marketing is that a vendor will employ a cooperative advertising strategy. Basically, they'll go to their retailers and they'll say, hey, I want you to place a joint advertisement featuring both of our brands. In exchange, I'll help pay for part of the advertising costs. The retailer's like, yeah, I want this because I don't have to spend as much money for advertising. And the vendor is good because they get more advertising and they're able to work with the local retailers who might know the advertising scene better than themselves. So in other words, this is a B2B to C business model as opposed to just a B2B or B2C transaction because businesses work with businesses to reach customers. And then to see an actual example of this in practice, look at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is an international company, it needs no explanation, but it's really hard for them to advertise locally because they are so big. And so what they'll do is that they'll partner with a local Walmart in like St. George, Utah, or New York City, or in Shanghai, and then they'll have them place joint advertisements featuring both brands. And the overall goal of this, in case it wasn't already obvious, is just to increase sales for the vendor. So if the channel marketing can help them, then it's a good program. But some other benefits of channel marketing that might not seem immediately obvious are that it can build loyalty and relationships with their partners. So like fundamentally, when you have a channel marketing strategy, you're working with your partners very closely. And this can have a spillover of effects that can help you business, both professionally and personally at the end of the day. The more you work with someone, the more opportunities that happen. Additionally, because you're able to work with so many partners, this can help you build trust. Like, for example, if Best Buy were to partner with an Apple, which they do already right now, just the mere inclusion of Apple products at a Best Buy helps Best Buy's brand image, while also helping Apple sell more products. And then lastly, this helps marketing diversity. So what I mean by this is that basically, rather than the vendors having a one-dimensional marketing strategy or only thinking this is the way that we have to do our marketing, because they're working with their partners can employ a variety of different advertising. Sure, there's TV commercials, there's print ads, there's magazine ads, but also it could be a webinar, it could be a trade show, it could be content marketing. All these different strategies are able to be employed by the retailer. And they can be more complicated, but more importantly, more effective than if the vendor just threw money at the local area and said, we're going to have this ad running. But now that you've sold on the benefit of channel marketing, what are some common types of channel marketing? Now, I've already mentioned cooperative advertising programs, but additionally, there are many other types, like affiliate marketing, where basically, maybe someone has a newsletter and then they have a link to a product inside of the newsletter, they would get a percentage of the cost for that advertising. If you're an affiliate and you have a newsletter and you place a link for specific products, the affiliates who has their newsletter would get a percentage of whatever the vendor or the owner of the product would get. And so it's a win-win for both parties because the affiliates have the marketing vehicle and the vendors have the products. Another type of channel partnership are value-added resellers. So basically, you have the vendor and then you have the customer. But getting from the vendor to the customer doesn't just have to be a straightforward process. What if you had someone in between who is called a value-added reseller who took this vendor's product and improved it, added more features, added more functionalities, maybe tied it in with a specific hardware if it's software. Basically, it just makes it better. And then it sells it to the customer. So the vendor wins because their product's getting sold. The middleman wins because they're able to improve the product and be able to sell more and get a cut of it. And the customer wins because they get a better deal. But what I failed to mention so far are the key challenges that channel marketing and channel partnerships can entail. Like, for example, there might be a problem with brand consistency. When a vendor has their partners create ads for them, maybe the ads aren't up to par for the vendor standards. the partner doesn't use the right logo, the right colors, or maybe they depict the vendor in an unfavorable light. Like, just as an example, imagine that Coca-Cola is working with Best Buy. It just doesn't really mesh really well. Coca-Cola would be better off selling through like a Walmart rather than having ads with Best Buy. It's different markets, different niches, and it just wouldn't work well for both parties. Another key challenge is limited analytics. If, let's just say, this partner is placing a TV ad or placing a radio ad or having a billboard, while you do have, the estimated number of viewers, the estimated number of people who walk by that billboard, it can be kind of difficult to track the effectiveness of the ad. There's so many different factors that can help an ad succeed or fail. And so, with a complicated advertising strategy, it can be hard to determine which ones are working or not. Solving this is beyond the scope of this video, but just really, really quickly, I think that the best way to deal with this is to lean towards digital advertising, which can offer you immediate access to analytics. And then also being very selective for what advertising activities you allow your partners to use. And lastly, in a similar vein to the last one, what if the partners have limited marketing skills? In other words, what if they suck at marketing? Now, this can't be completely solved. At the end of the day, some people are just, they don't have the team, they don't have the resources to be able to create effective marketing. And so one way to deal with this is to have your partners use an agency. And then with that agency, whatever the bill is, whatever the invoice is, they give it to the vendor and the vendor can help, even out the costs. And so now that you know some of the challenges and some of the solutions, what are the steps to actually creating a channel marketing strategy or a channel marketing program? Well, here's a 9-step process for doing that. First things first, define your target audience. Who are you selling to? It is the most simple question, but businesses live and die because of this question. So, where do they shop? What's their age demographic? Are they more male or female? Where do they hang out? Where are they on the internet? What influencers do they follow? All these questions you want to have down to a T, because then you can employ step number 2, which is selecting a channel mix, which is like the advertising methods that you would use to reach this audience. You already know what your audience likes. Just go there. If you're selling motorcycles, it might be wise for you to go on TV, look up specific channels that are related to automobiles or motorcycles, and then placing TV commercials. Or if it's more of a software product, it might be better for you to have online ads next to specific keywords that will help drive traffic to your advertisements. And then once you determine these things, it's step number 3, which is selecting your channel partners. You want to have partners that are adjacent or similar to the niche that you're operating in. So earlier I said that Coca-Cola and Best Buy working together probably wouldn't be the best, but an example of something that would be good is Apple and Best Buy. So aligning these different niches together is one effective strategy. And fourth, it's determining distribution and pricing. So how are you actually going to incentivize your partners to use channel marketing well? Is it going to be percentage based on sales in a previous quarter, and then you give them a percentage of that? Are you just going to give them the money up front and say, hey, use this for advertising? Or are you going to do something more performance-based? Regardless of what you do, make sure that you have it in writing, make sure that it's very clear, and that way your partners know exactly what the expectations are. Next, you want to use channel software, like Computer Market Research's Partner Portal. This would help you streamline the co-op MDF process. And so rather than you managing all this on spreadsheets and having your efforts scattered all over the place, you can have it all in one place, view a dashboard, and it's super easy peasy to view everything. If you'd like to learn more, there's a link in the description. But the next step is to train and support partners. So one way you can do this is by providing training sessions to your partners, is providing brand assets on what advertising works really well. And sometimes it's just as simple as supporting your partners, allowing them to learn how to advertise effectively, and just having that patience. Next, it's streamlining your incentive process. So basically, now that you've already been running your program a little bit, you can start to see that maybe your partners are motivated or maybe they're not motivated. And now you want to experiment with different types of incentives to help keep your partners getting the ball rolling. And so one way you can do this is by spicing up the type of incentives you have. Like I said earlier, maybe it's performance-based, maybe it's upfront, or maybe it's based on a percentage of sales in the previous quarter. Regardless of what it is, make sure to experiment with these different types of incentive structures That way you can see which ones work best for your partners. Step number 8 is to measure key performance metrics. Or in other words, just track and measure and manage. So like for example, if one specific type of advertising is doing really well, double down on that. But if another type of advertising isn't doing as well, maybe stop doing that. And even on a broader scale, just within your own program, how effective is your program at motivating your partners? What percentage of them actually use the funds that you give them? These are all different metrics that you should be tracking month over month, year over year. That way you can compare and contrast with previous times, and then you can identify room for improvements. And lastly, consistent communication. Like in any relationship, communication is absolutely key. And so you want to be sending out regular email reminders. Ideally, you do want to automate this with Computer Market Research's partner portal, wink, wink, wink. And you just want to make sure that you're talking to your partners. Make sure they know the expectations, make sure they know what they're doing right, make sure they know what they're doing wrong. And this can go a long way to helping your program be the strongest it can possibly be. And so that's about it for this one. Please check out these other videos for other videos related to channel marketing, partnerships, and all that good stuff. And have a nice day. See ya. Bye.